Become a better personal trainer by becoming a better man. Become a better man by applying knowledge from others who've walked across the fire and have a thing or two to say about it. Listen to Joe as he delves into some of the greatest minds of the best coaches in the world, who bring inspiring stories and powerful insights to share about the human condition. Hear how the fitness industry goes only muscle deep, and how a new breed of trainers are using emotional and mindset hacks to improve as men, evolve their game, and make the competition irrelevant. Trigger your pathway to greater fulfillment. With us, stand in the face of fitness. Welcome to the Fit Man Collective.
Hey guys, Hanney here. Welcome to another show. I'm your host and founder of the Fit Man Collective, and as always, thank you for being here and listening to my podcast show. This show is about becoming a better personal trainer by becoming a better man, a fit man. On today's show, I'm pleased to announce that I have a great guest by the name of Jon Goodman. Jon has created by far one of the best communities for personal trainers that covers absolutely everything that trainers need so they can have amazing careers, which are both personally and financially rewarding. Before I give too much information away, both I and Jon will be talking more about the Personal Trainer Development Centre on the show, as well as taking a look at his latest creation, the Online Trainer Academy. Stay tuned. This episode is brought to you by Gone Gold Black Coffee. Being someone who enjoys his coffee, I'm always tasting and sampling different ones. I was given a few samples of the OG coffee. I then did my research and honestly combined the product benefits with the taste. It blew me away. It is a coffee that contains Ganoderma lucidum, which is a rare mushroom that's used to promote health and well-being. For over 5,000 years, Ganoderma has been acclaimed by medical professionals as the highest ranked of all herbs. It was used and still used as a remedy for many types of chronic diseases, including stomach aches, allergies, diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, back pain, arthritis, and cancer, to name a few. In its entirety, it comes in a small sachet that you just add up water. There's only 9 milligrams of caffeine in comparison to your average cup of coffee, which contains around 100 to 150 milligrams. If you or your clients have ever experienced muscle twitches, stomach burn, irregular heartbeat, insomnia, headaches, and other behavioural issues, then it might just be your current choice of coffee. I've been drinking OG coffee now for around 6 months. I have 1 cup in the morning whilst I write my daily message, #JoeEspresso, that has over 5,000 followers. I time it just before I go and work out, and that's it. I'm alive and energized for the whole day. Now, if you would like a free sample, then head over to the fitmancollective.com website. Go to the podcast page, click on the Organo Coffee link. This will activate the process for you to receive your free sample, courtesy of me, of course. Jon, just for the audience, could you please give them a quick introduction to who you are and what you are all about, my friend?
Yeah, my bread and butter is something called the Personal Trainer Development Centre at the PTDC. We've been doing that since 2011, and I think we do a pretty darn good job at it.
And how did that come about, Jon?
It came about because I was in a position that a lot of trainers, I think, get in like the upper limit of what I could reach as a personal trainer, training as many hours as I possibly could, making as much per hour as I could at that time. And I figured out that I needed to make a little bit of money that would serve me if I wanted to have a family or anything like that in the future. So throughout a very long story, I'd promote the book, started a website that was actually only going to promote the book. And I figured out pretty quickly after building the website for personal trainers that knew sort of a lot about a couple small subjects as well. And so the idea then kind of grew to bring it all under one roof.
And at the time of being a trainer, was it that you wanted to compile all of the information that you'd found to be of value to you and put it all under one roof? So if other trainers that went in the industry or even experienced trainers were searching for this information as well.
Wasn't so much that, to be honest. I mean, maybe that was kind of it in the back of my mind, but not consciously. It wasn't that. I realized early on in my training career that something that stuck with me since is the importance of the quality of a workout kind of pales in comparison to, like, it became so obvious to me early on that the actual workout didn't matter that much.
Okay.
What mattered is, and for the majority of clients, right? We're not talking like high-performing individuals. Mm-hmm. What mattered in terms of a trainer actually being successful is how good that trainer was in getting a client to want to do the workout, which is, of course, a lot more the psychology, a lot more self-efficacy, And of course, marketing principles as well. Like, how do you sell somebody on an idea and make them want to do it and make them want to do it over and over again and push harder with it? At its core, that's what marketing really is. So that's the information that I couldn't find. I realized that a lot of new trainers coming in, and I mean, I wasn't like super experienced, but I realized that a lot of new trainers coming in were just missing that element. Like, it just wasn't taught. There was so much focus being best programmed to do, how to fix all of these injuries, how to get stronger, all of these things. And I'm like, I don't really give a shit whether you do 6 or 7 or 8 reps.
Yeah.
You know, whether you like is a trainer's job really to count reps or to measure rest and stuff like that? And whether you do 8 or 10 or 12 or even 15, like intensity matters more than anything else. I truly believe that. But consistency matters. Mm-hmm. And there just wasn't a lot of good information. That's what really, I guess, drove me to do it. And I think that's where I kind of set myself apart in terms of the information I was putting out early on as well.
Yeah, and I think it's a fantastic advice that you just even offered there. You're quite correct in there seems to be, even in today, with today's information, it seems to be exercise prescription and further nutrition advice. But you're quite right. The game changer is how do you influence that client to make that change. And was there anything that was your go-to at that point, or was it something that you just come to learn yourself and did a lot of studying around? That I was I acquired a lot about, because like you said, learning any more exercise or nutrition strategies wasn't going to take me anywhere further than than the trainer down the road, should I say. So what really created and contested market space for me was learning how to master them. So yeah, I suppose my question is, was there any people that you really went to for? And I'm sure they're on your site already anyway, writing many articles for you.
Well, early on they weren't. Early on I had to kind of seek out the information. I mean, I've always kind of been obsessed with human behavior, even before I really knew that I was obsessed with it, and try to like walk back conversations that I had with people. I'm like, okay, well, I spoke to my friend today about Jello. How did we get to speaking about Jello? Like, we started talking about math. And I used to really I became really interested in the intersection of conversations. Like, how did conversation get from A to B to C to D to E? Mm-hmm. And because I thought, and this is in high school, so like this is really weird, but I thought at that point, then an extension of that was I could figure out how to manipulate those intersections and therefore take control of conversations. And so I was doing this back in high school for some weird reason, and just trying to figure it out, right? And I never really knew what I was doing at that time. Mm-hmm. Even into university, like, I would just study people. I mean, one thing that I still love doing is just sitting in coffee shops or sitting in parks and making up backstories about people, just exercise. But at the time, I was, all of the psychology stuff in terms of self-efficacy. You're talking about Albert Bandura, Prochansky's models of change. I mean, that kind of work was big. And I've gotten into a lot more, I guess, behavioral economics, where Daniel Gilbert he's a Harvard professor, Stumbling on Happiness. Kahneman, of course, Thinking Fast and Slow. I mean, there's a couple people who have kind of pioneered research in that field, mm-hmm. and it's the field of why we do what we do, why we really do what we do. It's not irrationality. Kahneman says in the back of Thinking Fast and Slow, he actually hates the term irrational, which is funny because, of course, you've got Dan Ariely writing Predictably Irrational. And you could kind of feel like it was like a little like knock on Ariely and how he's interpreted Kahneman's research. But it's not irrational. It's how humans operate. Like, mm-hmm. humans are not logical beings. And so I started digging into that and really not just reading it, but trying to understand it, trying to say, okay, well, this is happening. This is why I think a certain way about a certain situation. This is why I wanted to buy this TV over this TV. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. But this is why it is. And those things are so powerful that even if you know that they're happening to you, they still work.
Of course. And I suppose even just having that awareness or bringing it into awareness, or consciousness, it's going to have a greater impact on you as a coach, a personal trainer.
For sure.
Clients, because I suppose that's the challenge, isn't it? As a trainer in today's society, is they assume that they still only have that hour when they're training that client. So even just being aware of it in that hour, and if they can create another model where it enables them to have a different coaching element to their package, should we say, it'd be even more powerful of some sort.
Right. Well, let me ask you something. I mean, what's the major reason? What's the top reason why somebody hires a personal trainer? What's the problem they want to solve?
Emotional, deep-rooted.
Maybe. So what is that?
It could well be something. It could be many years of self-sabotage, but not quite understanding why they might self-sabotage. And that could be deep-rooted to it could go back years, right? So to understand that kind of behavior, you have to ask very specific questions to get them to answer that for you.
Exactly. So you know that, and I want to return to that. Why does a client come to a personal trainer, and what does that, from the client's perspective, what do they say that they want to do?
Lose weight.
Exactly. So what's interesting about that is there's a pretty serious disconnect, right? If a client really wanted the solutions to lose weight, like somebody approaching a personal trainer is going to say, I want to lose weight, I want to gain muscle, I want to whatever. What they're telling you is not what they actually want to achieve, right? Because if they actually wanted to achieve that, they wouldn't need to hire a trainer. If you want to lose weight, you Google on the internet how to lose weight. You can get 50 methods for free within about a quarter of a second that are all going to be good enough methods of how to lose weight. Pick one, follow it, you're going to do well with it.
Yeah, consistency, yeah.
So what is it that somebody actually hires a trainer about? There's a big disconnect between what people say they want and what they actually want. And they'll never be able to verbalize it. They probably don't even know that that's what they're missing, but it comes down to self-doubt. It comes down to lack of confidence. It comes down to some deep-rooted why they believe that they can't actually achieve what they want to achieve, right? There's a lot of barriers to overcome. And as a trainer, you need to understand that. You need to understand that, yes, you might be on the surface giving somebody a workout, but under the surface, you're giving them what they actually need, which are the reasons why they haven't been able to keep with that workout beforehand, which you can't say that you're doing it, right? You can't go to a client and be like, okay, you told me you want to lose weight and here's how to lose weight, but you actually have pretty serious confidence issues. Yeah. So we're going to deal with that. Like, you can't do that. What you have to do is you have to really work in the solutions to the problems they actually have intuitively into how you perform in your program. As an example, instead of giving somebody a program that says, here's phase 2 fat loss, where we're going to ramp up the volume, train your jug and speak, whatever it is, you say, okay, now we're going to do the red dress workout because you told me that you felt really sexy a couple years ago when you wanted to wear a red dress on the cruise with your husband and you couldn't because it didn't fit anymore. So this workout is to get you to wear that red dress again. Like, now you're addressing the key emotional kind of connection, going back to what they want to do. They don't really know what you're doing, and you're not explicitly communicating what you're doing. But what in a sense you're doing is you're intuitively really working in what it is that they want to achieve into your program, into how you're packaging your program, into how you're packaging your services. And that's how you become kind of the no-brainer coach, right? Every other coach offers phase 2 fat loss, upped in volume. We're going to do squats because it works big muscles and burns a lot of fat. You're like, we're doing the red dress workout. Yeah. Who gives a shit what's in the workout? They want to fit in the red dress.
That's superb advice as well. And you're right. The client, I got into the habit of more or less saying, what you're coming to me for is not exactly what you think you're coming to me for. And that's just planting the seed, preparing them for that crossroad when it gets a bit sticky for them, and they kind of opens up a can of worms when they're kind of in their coaching journey with ourselves. And there's another point that you made, which I just want to really highlight for the trainers that are listening, is how it might be that you have to help them lose that weight that they think is going to help them gain confidence, just to show them that they still lack confidence when they're a certain size or whatever it might well be. Then you can start reducing phase 2 in terms of the coaching, but you wouldn't necessarily communicate that to work on them confidence issues. Or so yeah, it's great point, John. And I really appreciate you bringing that up on this call. Just swiftly though, if I could just take you to possibly the opposite end of the spectrum, and just bring in kind of this growing trend of technology. And in the notes before getting on this call with you, I brought up companies like Uber, and here in Bali there's Gojek, and I see an absolute fascination for these kind of technology-based convenience, quick access apps, should we say. What kind of impact do you think this will have on personal trainers' gyms, and do you see it as actually being an advantage, a disadvantage?
I see it as being another piece of the puzzle to solve the problem that we're all trying to solve, which is getting the majority of people more active and helping them keep active for a longer period of time. Like Uber and stuff like that is kind of different. I mean, now you're talking about like crowdsourced sort of SaaS companies, user generated marketplaces, that type of thing. I don't know if that applies so much to the fitness industry as much as the quantified self movement. We're talking wearables tech. And of course they're everywhere. And there's a lot of talk of, is this the end of personal training and stuff like that? And the answer is very clearly no. I mean, picture the fitness industry is just a big pie.
Yeah.
And if there's 100% of the people that we want to get active, right now we're getting 15% of them active. And the fitness industry as a whole is not doing a good enough job. And it's not doing a good enough job, not for lack of information, not for lack of passion, not for lack of money. It's not doing a good enough job, in my opinion, because of a lack of different ways to serve the market.
Yeah.
Different people are different. Different people react to different stimuli. Different people like to encounter situations differently. And a person in this world who loves one-on-one training, who loves that interaction. There's other people who like Zumba. There's other people who like small group exercise. People thrive with CrossFit. Like, doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you find the right thing for you. Wearable tech is just another piece of the puzzle. And so the type of person who loves wearable tech, who loves quantified self, is always going to jump to the next piece of quantified self. That's going to be like, well, I got a Fitbit. I don't need my trainer anymore. That person was not the right person to be with the trainer in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Great point.
And I think that's kind of all that there is to it. Like, you're never going to be able to replace people. I mean, if anything, this world that we live in that's becoming increasingly impersonal is just going to push people towards more personal services. And it's going to push coaches to be better and to appreciate that more. Where wearable tech does come, it provides a really nice selling platform for large gyms to differentiate themselves.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of marketing power in that. And so if a gym is able to get a unique contract, build a program or build a class out of that, then, I mean, that's a hook, right? That's nothing more than a marketing hook, but it could be an effective one.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're still talking group exercise.
Yeah, you are. No, you are, exactly.
Different way of it. You have Richard Swimming sweating to the 80s, then you have Insanity, then you have P90X, then you have Taibo kickboxing. I've got my order wrong, but you can just look at, like, if you were to track it year by year, and I have done this, and you were to look at like cardio group exercise, I mean, it literally went from low intensity to stupid high intensity, and the pendulum was just swinging back and forth until it eventually fell down in the middle, which is more or less where we are now. You know, CrossFit was like stupid high intensity, and I mean, it's just the way that things have always went and the way that things will continue to go.
That's great insight and perspective. And it kind of leads me on to a question and something that you've created, which is this online trainer academy. And would you mind just sharing in a nutshell what that is and how much of a game changer you feel that's going to be or is being right now?
Yeah, I mean, the Online Trainer Academy, to give a bit of background, is at its core, it's a business building course for personal trainers wanting to do online training, either mixed, I call it hybrid, in-person, online, which I think is a great solution for many trainers, or solely online while they travel. It is a certification course. It's the first certification ever put out for online trainers. And it's been wildly successful so far. We've got where I think it really comes in the fitness industry is, again, another piece of that pie. Online training, I look at it as a win-win-win for everybody. It's a win for trainers because it solves the big problem that every trainer eventually hits, which is they need to make a little bit more money. It solves a big problem for gym owners because gym owners lose a lot of money by clients moving away out of the area. They lose a lot of money by trainers leaving. And they need other income streams without having to expand their space or staffing. Online training helps solve all of those problems. And then it's a major win for clients because now the client can pick the best, they don't have to work with the trainer who's located conveniently. And there's a lot of self-efficacy, the belief that one can achieve, like picking the person who you believe is actually the right person to help you anywhere in the world. There's a lot to be said for how much you can commit yourself to that workout as a result of that one point, which I think is understated. In addition, it's generally there's no time constraints. If you want to work out at 6:04 p.m., you don't miss 4 minutes with your one-on-one trainer.
Of course.
So what I do is I teach people how to do it responsibly. I teach people, of course, all of the business aspects of getting clients and building up a solid business structure, but then how to do it responsibly. And when it comes to assessment, it's very important to understand that reliability trumps validity. When you're doing online assessments, it doesn't really matter what the client's body fat actually is.
No.
What matters is that you can measure reliably from test to test. And so you choose assessments, that allow you to do that. With online training, whereas in-person training, if you're close to a very valid body fat test, bod pod, underwater weighing, DEXA, whatever. But online training, you don't have that. So kind of get into all of that and how to take care of clients, how to encourage adherence with clients online as well, how to keep communication up with them. And then, like I said, I mean, the business elements of it, of course, we get into quite a bit.
I suppose the assessment side of it was pretty hot topic amongst trainers when you first was bringing this out to the market. So I'm very not surprised. Surprised is the wrong word. I'm actually very excited. Was that a difficult job, or did you find it pretty straightforward?
Well, putting together the program as a whole was a difficult job for no other reason than nobody's done it before. We had to make it up as we went along, and the way to do that is a lot of R&D. So, I mean, I've been teaching online training to trainers. First started as a coaching business, then transitioned that into a course that I previously called 1K Extra, where we took in thousands of students who did that course over the course of 2.5 to 3 years, I guess 3 years, took in feedback for them of what worked, what didn't work. So we had all of this data from people who were already doing it. What that also enabled me to do was build up a huge network of successful online trainers across the world with different types of clients, with different types of specialties, everything from like top performing aerobic athletes to seniors. I mean, really all ends of the spectrum. And so my job then, and my team's job, I wouldn't say it was just me, it was a team of 5 of us working on this for many, many months, was to compile a ton of interviews where I spoke one-on-one, just like I'm speaking with you, and recorded these calls with people doing online training successfully. And the goal of those calls was always to pick out the golden nuggets of what they do. These people had, so somebody named Lazarus Ross owns a company called Major Gains Fitness. He now has a bunch of trainers working for him all online. And what he does really, really well is he uses Facebook and his existing community to get clients.
Nice.
Great. So I was able to pull that system out of him. I was able to use a lot of psychological research to actually make it a little bit better than what he did, and make sense of it as well so I could explain it to other people. Phil Harrison is a coach in the UK who took his bootcamp model and brought it online. And he called it a guinea pig trial. I changed that to guinea pig experiment because I didn't like the word trial, but what he was doing with hosting kind of boot camps online, we were able to pull that in. And there's just so many examples of stuff like that, of just kind of pulling like the one golden nugget. Alex Viada of Complete Human Performance, his company, I mean, he has a 7-figure plus online coaching company of high performing athletes. These people win CrossFit competitions. These people win world championships in track and field and stuff like that, and cycling, and he coaches them online.
Nice.
His assessment techniques were better than anybody I've ever seen on the planet for online coaching. And so was able to, fortunately, he was more than willing to give me all the information I'd ever want in the world about how he does it.
Nice.
And so we were able to pull that out. And then it was just a matter of being very careful not to get carried away. Like what he does is not what most people need, Most people are training a world champion cyclist. And so it's again, understanding that kind of validity over reliability. If you are training a cyclist or a runner or something like that, what is a very simple test that you can guide them on that they can do where you can compare test to test to gauge performance increases. And so you're looking at, couple kilometer time trials and stuff like that.
Nice.
I'm not doing blood sampling, anything of that sort, which he does do some of that kind of stuff. But again, he's working with the top athletes in the world. So it was pulling out the golden nuggets, and then it was simplifying those making sense of them and systematizing them, because often people who are doing things that are really brilliant don't really know why they're really brilliant.
Yeah.
And so it was up to my team and I to kind of make sense of that and why, like, okay, well, you're doing this, like, that's really freaking smart. Here's 4 studies that back up why what you're doing is really smart. And they're like, oh, cool. I'm a scientist now,
Nice. I like that. It's kind of bulletproof, isn't it? There's a real world experience, but then you've got the research behind it. When you are teaching
that's the idea.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that's the big differentiator between what I've done, what my team has done, versus a lot of people that will teach online coaching. A lot of people that will teach online coaching were online coaches. I'll be the first to tell you, I've never trained anybody online.
Yeah.
And my job is not to train clients online. My job is to figure out the best systems for training clients online. A lot of other people who teach this kind of thing do a great job with their own clients, with their own businesses in one specific way.
Yeah.
And so if you're an online coach or you want to do an online coaching business and you know that you want to learn one very specific way of doing it, you're probably going to go to somebody who already does it that one specific way and has been doing it that one specific way for a long time. But the reality of it is you have no idea what's right for you or what isn't. I mean, is a membership site right? For most people, probably not, but it sounds really appealing.
Yeah, of course.
And so you know, if you know that you want to do a membership site, there are people out there who teach you how to do a membership site for online training really well. The problem is they'll teach anybody their method, and they won't do a smart enough intake to say, hey, you're right for this method, you're not right for this method.
Got you. And is that essentially why you create a certification out of it and being the first to the market as well, to give trainers a more confidence in what it is that you're delivering? From the sound of it, it sounds very intricate, very detailed, and you've there's no stone unturned kind of thing, which really fascinates me to be honest with you.
I think with any new market, especially a new market that's unregulated, like fitness, right? I think it's very important to have some sort of measure of legitimacy. And, you know, I'm just somebody who created a certificate. Like, I'm not regulated by a government.
No.
So I'm as legitimate as the next guy.
Yeah.
But having a certification and actually studying from a textbook and getting a very well-rounded idea of what you should think of and what you shouldn't means that you're going to encounter the business much more responsibly.
Of course.
And, you know, being able to say to potential clients that you're a certified online trainer immediately puts you ahead of somebody else who says, hey, I can train you online. You know, like if somebody were to approach you and they're like, I can train you online, and somebody else is to approach you and like, I can train you online and I'm a certified online trainer. You go back to the first and you're like, are you a certified online trainer? And they're like, no, but I can train you online. And like, who's the client going to pick?
Of course. Yeah. Great point.
Right. So it kind of, it communicates that you care enough about what you're doing to become educated in it. A lot of people also, especially with online training, because you really don't need any more skills than what you already have as an in-person trainer. A lot of people will kind of go into the business, say, I can do this. But like working online as an online trainer is an entirely different business than working as an in-person trainer. How you set up your business, how you organize your time, how you communicate with clients, the way that you deliver your workouts, everything is completely different. It's learning a new business. And a lot of people don't respect that. And as a result, a lot of people fail at it. A lot of people burn out with it. A lot of people, frankly, just do a really shit job with it.
Yeah. And I suppose, speaking in great depth about this, you've covered almost, or like you've said, you've really researched this. You've really thought about how this is going to work. So you've kind of took that thought process or the thinking of it away from the train. It's kind of a system that's already good to go as long as you're willing to apply it and immerse yourself in the information that you're providing, so you become that certified online trainer.
Well, and what I'm really proud of is how we were able to walk a trainer through the process, start to finish, of building the perfect kind of business for them.
Nice.
My opinion is there's no one right way or wrong way to do it. There's only a right or wrong way for you. And so throughout the textbook and associated workbook, there's a whole bunch of videos that kind of explain the materials and stuff like that. And then, of course, you work your way through the textbook. And as you're filling out the workout, you're filling in and you're working through exercises that help you make sense of what the perfect type of business is for you, how it's going to be structured, how you're going to deal with clients, what you're going to offer clients, what you're going to charge, how you're going to market, all of those things. Once you've worked through those exercises and figured them out, you then transfer that bit of information onto what we call a snapshot worksheet. And then what that worksheet acts as is that worksheet is a snapshot of your business. So at any point in time, you can say, hey, there's this new shiny thing that's distracting me, but wait, here's my business.
Nice. So you can bring them back to the core values of why that's.
And you can always go back to your core values and say, okay, I made these decisions after a lot of thought of exactly how I was going to structure my business. This is what I'm sticking to. You know, I have the confidence that I know that this is right. This is right for me. And to be honest, I have no clue how we were able to pull that off. But I think we did a pretty darn good job, and initial response has been really, really good. I thought that we were going to need to make a lot of changes after we put out the first version of the textbook. I mean, we've got a couple little things, but pretty much nothing.
Nice.
We were able to guide people really, really well in terms of what it was that they should be doing and shouldn't be doing for them. You know, maybe you want to do like transformation programs that last 8 weeks online. Maybe you want to train conventionally one-on-one and take people through that. Maybe you want to have a free Facebook group. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to run Facebook ads. Maybe you don't. You know, all of these things, you can't do all of it.
No.
And if you try to do all of it, you're going to fail. So how do you know which is the right for you and which isn't? And that's what we were able to really guide people towards. And in doing that, give them the confidence that what they're doing is right. Focus on that and ignore everything else.
And I think it runs true from the personal training development center right through to this online trainer academy, that you're giving trainers confidence in the fact that you've built a community of experts, we should say. I know how cliche that might sound, but of experts. You've really gone out there to the market to find the best from doing your own research for yourself. And it seems that you've kind of continued that through to the online trainer academy. So a trainer can feel confident and comfortable knowing that there's actually a very genuine, authentic guy behind this who's really brought together a lot of thought into this to ensure that if this is my route, should we say, in the fitness industry, that there's them and also many other people like me that are going to support me on this journey, which is powerful, I believe.
It's the hope.
Great, John.
Yeah.
You've answered a ton of my questions already, which I had planned for you, and it was just around like what might be going through trainers' minds when we're obviously having this discussion, and I think it's opened up the opportunity for these trainers to go searching for more information about this. If you don't mind me just asking, where could details about the Personal Training Development Center, but also the Online Trainer Academy certification?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. The Personal Trainer Development Center, the website is just theptdc.com, and it does have the THE before, so it's theptdc.com. Mm-hmm. And then the Online Trainer Academy with certification is the ptdc.com-OTA.
Great. And just one last thing, John, because I know we're on a time budget here. And this is something that's very close to my heart. How important do you think it is that a personal trainer coach seeks out coaching for themselves so they can gain and appreciate what coaching actually does for them, so then they can pass it on to their clients?
I think it's very important, but I think there's a lot of confusion of the terms that I'd like to clear up.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between a mentor and a coach.
Great.
Right? A mentor is somebody who believes in you, who chooses you, who takes you under their wing, and who really guides you, right? Nice. They're not somebody you pay. And I think that's the main thing. Get you to go on a strategy call, and then you pay them a bunch of money, and then they might involve you in some group calls. That's not what a mentor does. Yeah. A mentor is somebody who truly believes in you and takes their time to work with you. And a mentor doesn't have time to work with a lot of people at once. Like I've taken on a couple, I guess, mentees in my day, and it's like one at a time.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time.
And it's a really deep relationship. Now, a coach is very different. It has a piece of information that you desire to have. entirely different ballgame. So if I want to know something, or if I want to achieve something, or I have a project that I want to do, right? So I'm going to take a look at whatever it is that I want to achieve, and I'm going to say, okay, broken down into its parts, or in Elon Musk speak, into its first principles, to all of its elements. Okay, here's all of the different parts. Let's say there's 8 parts of this. I know how to do 5. I don't know how to do 3.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a search then to seek out people who have those 3 pieces of information, using my previous made-up example. And my only goal then is to obtain those 3 pieces of information. I don't need to coach with them. I've paid people $1,000 an hour for a phone call. I've paid people $10,000 an hour for a day of their time.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, but I will never pay anybody to be part of like a $1,000 a month membership or mentorship or whatever it is, because to me the entire concept behind that is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also somebody who doesn't need accountability, which is, I think, a big element. If you need accountability, it's a little bit different. But my point is, a lot of the time when you go out and hire a coach, it's because you don't have the guts to actually take action on something yourself. That comes first. Like, work through all that shit that's stopping you from taking action first.
Yeah.
And then figure out what it actually is that you need to know that you don't know yet.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And it's such a, to just round up the whole show, it's some great advice there. And I've never heard it put like that. So thank you for that, Jon. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you as a person for being on this show. And thank you very much, my friend.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Wow, they delivered there, don't you think? Again, thanks to Jon for helping me produce such a great show for you guys. Now, if you have any questions about this show, then head over to the Fitman Collective Facebook group at www.facebook.com/groups/the Fitman Collective, where we'll be having deeper conversations about this show and previous episodes. Now, to get all the show notes and links that were mentioned in today's episode, please head over to the fitmancollective.com website.
Thank you for listening to the Fitman Collective podcast. This is your life. Don't settle for mediocre. Don't settle for average. Don't even settle for great. Beware the average man who attracts an average companion. Beware the great man who believes they've achieved everything and appears just a little too comfortable. Don't be them. Become the patient wolf. The Fitman Collective is waiting for you. Know yourself. With us, reinvent yourself and your place in this world. Body, mind, health, relationships, career, money, all of it, and more. We can never be caught. We can never be categorized. The Fitman Collective reinvents the future of the Fit Pro. The Fit Man makes his own fate. Join us at thefitmancollective.com.